Hello Stampers, how are you today? My name is Linda Edwards. I'm with Crafty Heron Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And I am here today to show you how to make this fun slimline card. It's what I'm calling a 3/4 fold. I don't really know if there's a name for it, but that's what I'm calling it. And the reason I designed this card is because I wanted to use these new slimline envelopes that are available in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. It's in the January through June 2022 Stampin' Up! Catalog. And these are really fun. Look, they've got this fun little fold there, a little accent, and then the inside has some color to it. And I just thought they were really fun. This is a soft succulent, a gray granite, and a white. And really any one of them would go with our card today, although I think probably the gray and the white is best. So that was why I designed this card. So the measurements for this card will fit into those envelopes, and you could certainly use whatever you have on hand to make something similar. And I'm hoping that I can, inspire you to be creative. So let's get started. We are, as I said, we're going to use the Artfully Layered stamp set. It comes with some great greetings, and I just love the font on there. And it comes with a set of dies that we're going to use. And I have cut out some of those layers already just to make things go a little bit faster. This one's a little out of my comfort zone. It's not something that I've done a lot with, so that was what attracted me to it. I wanted to play around and see what I could do that was maybe a little bit different from something I had done before. So what I'm going to do, first thing I always do is let's go through the pieces that we need for our card. So as I said, I'm calling this a Slimline 3/4 fold card measurements. I will have these available in the description of the video, but I'm going to go through them now. You can certainly take a screenshot of those so that you don't have to wait for me to be able to load that. In the meantime, this is the card base. It's the Evening Evergreen, and it's cut at 8.5 by 3.5, and you'll also need a scrap for die cutting because we're going to cut out, show you, we're going to cut out this die that's also for the Evening Evergreen. Then the next layer is Pear Pizzazz. This is cut at 5 7/8 by 6 3/4, and it is scored and folded at 3.5 on the long side. So you're going to do that. Then you'll need a Pale Papaya scrap for die cutting. So that's about the size there for the die cutting. And then you'll need this printed vellum. So this printed vellum is a part of the suite. I don't know if you can see that. This is part of that Artfully Layered Bundle. Let's see when it's layered on there. Actually, there we go. That's better. It's script, and it goes in different directions. It's really, really a cool feature that's in this catalog. There are several different pieces. This is on page 33 of the catalog. You can see here all the different designs that come with it. I thought it was very intriguing. And then here are some of the designer series papers. We're going to use 3 of those different papers in our card today. And I just went ahead and used the colors that coordinate with the paper. That's one of the things Stampin' Up! Does so well. It's so easy to design a card because you don't have to guess what colors are going to work with it. You know, if you've got those colors in your stash already, that you can make something with this paper. So that is, as I said, on page 33 of the catalog. We need the DSP, as I talked about, the designer series paper. So there's one, this piece here is 3 3/8 by 2 3/8. Then you'll need another piece that's 5.5 by 1/2 of an inch. And then you'll need a scrap for die cutting. And I'm going to use this side of the paper. I don't know if you can see, it's got some kind of splatters on it. This is the other side, but I wanted to have that kind of dimension with it. And then there's a piece of Calypso Coral, which we are going to die cut. I'm going to show you a trick for die cutting this piece, and it is 5 by 3/4 of an inch. And lastly, just a scrap of basic white. It doesn't need to be this big. It's for our sentiment, and there's the die, and that die also comes in that, that stamp set, or that bundle. Okay. Let's get started. So first thing I generally like to do is go ahead and start with my card base, but this is a little unusual. That's my card base. Isn't that funny? So this is going to go, this is kind of the next layer of the card base. So let's go ahead and get that layer on there. And then we can kind of set that out of the way. So this is folded. Let's make sure that it is burnished well so that it lays nice and neatly on that. So it folds neatly is what I'm trying to say. And I'm just putting it equidistant on all three sides. It's going to be on the left side. And then here, I'm going to layer this designer series paper. And you can see I chose this one because it's got all those different colors. Well, actually, I chose the paper, and then the coordinating pieces that I'm using with it, I chose specifically because I wanted to bring out the color that was already in that paper. It always gives you a more cohesive design when you can repeat some of the elements, whether it's a shape or a color. It makes it a little more interesting. All right, so now I'm going to attach the vellum. So I think you can see there's a kind of a lighter side and a darker side. The printed side here, it is script, so you do want to watch and make sure that it's not upside down because it is handwriting. If you're like me, you might need your glasses to be able to see that. But whatever it takes. And I'm just going to put glue dots on all four corners of this vellum. Now you kind of will be able to see it a little bit, but I don't think it's obvious. And I just felt like I really wanted to make sure that all these four corners, I did do it the right way, yes. Oh, shoot, did I do it the wrong way? No, that's right. See, I told you I need my glasses. No, I did it the wrong way. Well, let's see if I can take these off and put them on the other side. Of course, this would happen when it's on video, right? Oh yeah, it'll be easy enough. But you know what? We all make mistakes, right? I mean, I've been card making for a long time. You may be new, but no matter how long you've been doing it, mistakes happen, right? So it's good to learn how to recover from your mistakes. Not a big deal. Fortunately, this is going to work out just fine. It's just taken a little extra time on the video. In the grand scheme of things, this is not a big mistake, is it? All right, last one. Okay. There we go. And that layer is just going right on top. And I like the way, you know, we've got now it looks like it's got like a green background, right? So you could use any color with this vellum to really create an interesting, you know, different cards, right? Okay, so that's our card base. And now I need the piece of basic white, which is probably wherever that other piece went. Well, you know what? I have poltergeist here today because I seem to have misplaced my basic white. So I'm going to cut a piece. I need 5 3/4 by 3 1/4. I will be right back. Here we go. All right, so 5 3/4 by 3 1/4. I'm gonna go ahead and I think I'm gonna do it this way. This way. 3 1/4. That's gonna be for the inside. And 5 3/4. All right, there we go. And we're going to go ahead and stamp that piece. And let's bring in a little scrap because I am going to stamp it. It's going to come a little bit off the paper. So this is a birthday card. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp. The first thing I'm going to stamp is with Evening Evergreen. I'm going to stamp this guy right here. And it's not a distinctive stamp, but it does have some it's not a real thick, deep, dark image. I'm gonna kind of just stamp it up here in the corner. See what I mean? It's got some dimension to it, almost looks a little bit watercolor. And that's the Evening Evergreen, and my sentiment is also Evening Evergreen. So let me just see, how straight is that? Oh yeah. I always like to try it once first. There we go. And since I am also, the sentiment on the front is also Evening Evergreen, and I've got that ink open, I am going to go ahead and stamp that right now as well. All right, set that aside and close this. I don't like to keep the open ink pads on my desk because it seems as though they are a magnet for either my fingers or the card. You know, how many of you done that? You just about finish a card and then it falls into the open ink pad. Ugh, makes me crazy. There we go. All right, so that's all of our stamping. Put that out of the way, and then that piece can go right in here. Here we go. So all right. So now we're going to do our layering. Let's see, we do have the die cutting to do, and I've already cut, as I said, all the other pieces, but we have two pieces of, 2 bits to die cut. We're going to die cut this piece, and we're going to die cut this little guy. So I'm going to move this off camera and bring in my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. This is great for these smaller dies. It's something that's handy to keep at my desk. Let me see, I'll start with this one. And it's very straightforward. One tip I will tell you is that when you are die cutting with this machine, more so than with the standard cut and emboss machine, your plates need to be staggered as you run them through the machine. Otherwise, it's hard to get the machine started. So if you're having trouble, if it's not going through, just be aware that that's probably what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and set this on here and center it. And I think it's going to be fine, but because I do want it to be straight, you saw that I just keep that there. I'm going to put this on that die so that it doesn't move on me. And then just run that through the machine. Ooh, that's tight. Oh, you know why? I'll tell you. See, I did what I shouldn't have done. See how hard that was to do? It's because I left it straight. If I had put it through on an angle with maybe a smaller piece, it would have cut through very easily. It wouldn't have been so hard for me to do that. It's not going to hurt the machine, but it just doesn't feel right. It feels like you're breaking it. So a little tip for you there. Okay, so now this die is a little tricky. You see there's a stitched edge, and this is the cutting edge. So I want to make sure, since I know that's the cutting edge, that's the part I want to put down here, because I want to get this jagged end on that piece of Calypso Coral Designer Series paper. So I am going to go ahead and put that there because I do want it to be straight. I'm going to run that through. Let me pull that up a little bit higher so you can see that better. Run that through the machine. And again, I want to make sure that my ends are staggered, and I'm going to put a little bit on an angle. And there we go. Much easier that time around. That piece off. That comes off. And there I have that nice zigzag line. So now there's one last thing that we need to do to get ready for this card, and then we can begin assembling it. So I am going to use this. This is the ribbon. It's a Whisper White, or it's a white color, and it's called the frayed ribbon. And I need about 3 inches of it. So I'm going to just kind of eyeball that, cut off 3 inches. And I'm going to put a piece of tear and tape on one side, on this edge here. So this is something kind of interesting that you can do. I don't know if you saw, there's a lot of texture in this card. And this is one way that I'm going to get this texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, see, just fraying that ribbon. And then I have this other edge, this other thread that I can use for another card. And for sometimes it goes really well. Sometimes it's a little tricky. I don't know why. We did this card in a class, and I'll tell you, some of them were a struggle. But look at that. That one went very well. And I'm not going to go all the way down because I'm going to have that kind of hidden behind a couple of layers there. All right, so I'll go to about there. And some of the girls in my class are going to be seeing this, and they're going to be like, I can't believe it worked so well. So be forewarned, sometimes it is a little bit tricky, but that one worked really well. So there we have another fun textured layer to add to our card. Okay, so I think I have everything that I need. So let's go ahead and get started. So layering is always a little tricky, I think. We'll put it together first. Actually, let me think. So I want this to be this layer here first. And I like to kind of lay it out. Of course, I have done this once or twice already. I've taught in a class and we've done it together. Here, let's put this layer together first. We're going to just combine these two. I want it to look like that. So I'm going to put some, I'm going to just put some glue along, actually it's the top of this edge that I want to put some liquid glue on. There we go. Just a little line of liquid glue. And then this piece is going to be layered right on top of there. There we go. All right, and this layer is going to be on dimensionals, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to use that. So don't throw away your dimensionals when you're done with all of the little pieces. These long, thin corners are awesome for something like this that is going to be a nice long piece. So I'm going to put that on dimensionals, and that is going to go here. I didn't attach it yet. Kind of looking at my layers. The farthest layer is going to be this one here, but I wanted to kind of have this here so that I could see where that's going to go. So I'm going to angle that a little bit more. I know it's going to go right about there. So I know, I can always, of course, trim that off, but I don't need to do that. So I'm going to just go ahead and use a couple of glue dots on here because this is going to be a back layer. It's going to be hidden. So I'm not too worried about it. About it showing. I want glue dots because we're on vellum. If I just did liquid glue, the liquid glue is so slippery. The vellum is so slippery that I'm afraid the liquid glue won't really, it'll make a big mess. All right, so I got those there, and see how I was just kind of laying that there so that I could see what was next. Okay, so the next thing is actually this ribbon that we did, and I'm going to put another piece of tear and tape the back. Remember, we put a piece of tear and tape on the front of this ribbon, and I'm going to put another piece on the back. And so that did two things, right? It held the ribbon together so that when I was pulling, it wouldn't, you know, fall, go all the way to the end and come totally unraveled. Can you imagine what a mess that would be? And now it's also going to enable me to adhere it to the card base. So I'm going to put this end first. And I know I want this to be kind of right in the middle. So I'm going to put it right on top of that layer and then kind of just spread it out a little bit. Okay. Let's see. So this will be my next layer. And as you see, I left a couple of the pieces in. I did that deliberately. I wanted to kind of, I don't know, create some, again, another kind of different interest. So let's go ahead and take this tape off, this tape layer. And this can be a little tricky sometimes, especially on ribbon. A lot of times you can poke it. There we go. Did you see that? I just poked it and then pulled it off. Okay. So I want that layer to be right there. And I'll decide later if I'm going to keep all of those in or move them. And I think now I'm ready for this layer because I'm going to slip this one underneath it. So let's go ahead and put this one on. And I'm just kind of centering it, putting it kind of low, and then that's going to hold that down. And I'll probably put, I may put one more glue dot or something under there to hold it, although it's really not going to go anywhere. All right, and then we have this layer, and I think I'm going to go ahead and put some dimensionals on that. I think I can do that. And I'm kind of putting it on the top here. Because the bottom is going to be just right on the paper here. So I'll put just a dab of liquid glue here. Let's see. There we go. And actually, that's going to hold that down, so I don't really need to add anything more. I do want to add this, and I can kind of slip that in there. I want it to be on top of there. I think like that. So all I really need to do is put a little bit of glue on there. Stem and down there. And then when I slide that in, it will hold in place. There we go. Okay. Isn't that fun? All right, so now we just need a little bit of bling. So I'm going to try these matte decorative dots. Let's see. I like this. Let's do that one up there and do a slide. So these are kind of graded in color. Can you see that? The lighter, from the lighter to the dark. You can see I've gotten a lot of use out of this set. I think I'm going to do, this is kind of a pear pizzazz color. It's kind of light, isn't it? Let's see. Nope. Too light on the green. I'm going to use another blue. There we go. I just add kind of an interesting little touch with that matte finish. You could certainly use something more glitzy if you wanted, just whatever you've got. So there we go. Comes together pretty quickly. And here's the Slimline envelope. You can see it's going to fit perfectly in there. And because it's 8.5 inches long, you just use this one. You can get several actually out of one piece of cardstock. So I hope you like my design. I hope you've been inspired to create something for yourself, whether you have this stamp set or some other stamp set. My goal is to inspire you to unleash your inner creativity. We have a lot of fun. I teach classes in my home. And if you're interested, if you're in the Greensboro area and you'd like to join us for class, we'd love to have you. You can find more information about me on my website, or I'll have a link in the bio in the description for these videos. And if you join my newsletter, you'll get information about the different classes, about Stampin' Up! Promotions and sales and things like that. And I also always put in a tutorial in every monthly newsletter, a tutorial for a card making project, that something that you can do on your own with whatever materials that you have on hand. So if you made it all the way here to the end, I appreciate you staying with me. And if you like what you see, please like, follow, do whatever it is you can do. Heart my my video, and it helps me to continue to be creative in my business. So take care and have a great day. Bye.